Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Do you want to take your computer?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Your emails might be more interesting than mine. Okay. Kia ora and welcome. I've got my red and black on today just to remind people to wear their red and black tomorrow. Yes, but tomorrow's the big day, so for everyone to wear red and black, so I'm putting the challenge out there. And now I'd like to invite the Coastal-Burwood ward to
good morning, Leanne.
to your report. Thank you.
And councillors.
7th of June.
Do you want to get on to the first one, obviously, is Dallington Bridge safety concerns. The community came to us, the Residents Association, etc., and said there's some big concerns about safety and accidents. There was an accident just recently, so we're actually working with them, and we have an on-site meeting with an engineer planned. So it's something we're looking at the moment. The New Brighton Clock Tower, as you probably know, it's had scaffolding around it for quite a long time, and we're now actually seeing some action, which is great. The faces, you can see the clock tower face, they've been taken out and they have to be repaired, so I guess it's a pretty old type of system, so it'll take a while. But there has been some damage found in the actual building itself, and that's being repaired, so it looks like it's about a year-long job. Behind that, of course, you know, we've just had the excuse me, the Brighton Pier fixed, and I just must tell you that in the first month it was open, after it was opened again, we had 8,000 plus people in the first month, and the numbers are building up again, which is great to see something positive happening again. The tree removal South New Brighton Park, this has been an ongoing issue for quite a while. We had a council arborist come down just recently and had a look at the trees, and I think I mentioned at a previous meeting I was quite concerned about 30 odd trees coming down, and at this stage the arborists seem to think there could be up to 100 that need to come down. I think we've scaled that back now to the most urgent ones, which is about 9. But it's a big concern because a lot of the trees that are dying are on the other side of the walkway, and they're dying not from salt intrusion through the ground, but the water's coming in on particularly high tides and ponding around the tree roots. So we're now getting into, obviously you can see the damage to the estuary edge, that's erosion, and it's obviously a big issue. But it's a concern we're losing trees further in with the ponding of the salt water, because you know the salt water's just, as I said, it's just sitting there for up to a week after a big event tide. So we'd love to work forward in that one. It's just going an ongoing saga, and we don't seem to be getting anywhere with it. This one is this is the foreshore. This is a combined thing with it's got DCL and Scape Public Art, and they're getting together to try to find out what they can do. We'll come up with some ideas what they can do with that particular area. As you know, it's always been a bit untidy. It's where we have the Anzac Day. So the idea is to see what they can do and see what improvements can be made. The community board or some of the members are working with that as well. Oh, this is the hub. Look, this was a great event. Opened up on a really chilly Sunday, one of the few cold days we have down there. But it was a cracker day as far as people coming along. Glenn was there, and Joe, and in fact all the community board and councillors were there. Great turnout. As you can see there, we had a picnic on the other side of the road. There's been a steady stream of people coming to the Regenerate Hub. A lot of people are not going because they think nothing's going to happen, and that's quite sad really, and I'm having to kind of almost knock on doors and convince people to come along. I think it's because it's been so long-winded that there's a bit of despondency in the area, but again at the same time there are people coming along, so, and that's why I think, you know, going on a bit further than that, the community needs some quick wins. You know, there's not a lot of hope out there at the moment, which is quite sad to hear, I believe. I think so. Is that about it on that one? Yep. That's oh, yeah. This other one here is Obviously, it's the issue of South Shore, and as you probably all know, there's cases there where people can't build, and there's still people there who haven't been able to build and have still got a lot of money tied up in their sections and consenting and all this stuff and can't build. And I don't know how you'd feel, but if you had a lot of money tied up and you don't know how you can get out of this position because you cannot build, you cannot sell your section, you're $300,000 down. So there was a case, as you know, over in Redcliffe last week that went for the person who was trying to build, but it didn't really set an example, which was probably disappointing. So look, it's something I think as a council, the community board, council and residents have got to work together and get some of these things fixed. There's too many half-finished projects or projects that aren't going anywhere at the moment, and it's affecting the community. And this is why I think the numbers are down at the Regenerate. They could be a lot more because, you know, one of the things you've got to do out there is give people some hope, and we're not doing that. We're not getting projects finished. People want to know they've got a future for their families, themselves, and also hope. So they're the two most important things, future and hope. If we can give them a bit of that, we'll move forward. But until we get something sorted out, Estuary Edge, South Brighton, South Shore, building, we're going to have this clashing. It's not the right way to move forward. So I'm not sure the right way forward, I'm not sure what it is, but we have to work together somehow and get at least some of these issues solved. Otherwise, we're going to be coming back to this meeting all the time, talking about the same things. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry? Oh, Sarah.
Thank you, and thanks, Tim. I'm just wondering if there's a communication issue here. So, I mean, there's always, across the city, there's a never-ending list of things that need doing. Mm-hmm. But, you know, we've opened Tauarakui 2, the pier's fixed, you've got your brand new playground, the hot saltwater pools are on the way.
Yes.
Are we not celebrating that enough if you think that people are thinking that we're not doing anything for the area?
And I cannot speak highly enough about those. They're wonderful. They are. But those things are like pluses. But when you start playing with people's lives and livelihoods, that's the difference.
Because the message you're saying is that people feel like we're not doing anything.
No, I'm probably, okay, and I'll correct that. Yeah. There is great things happening in the east. We've got the pool, we've got the pools, the schools. You know, there is some great things happening. I'm not talking about that. Those are pluses. But there are some minuses, and the minuses are...
Absolutely, yeah.
So don't get me wrong, people are very, very thankful for those, and there is hope in that respect. But I'm talking about the people that some of these things actually affect, like limbs, insurances. It's a different issue to what you're talking about. Yeah. Very, very grateful and very thankful. You won't get anybody who will say anything against those things.
So I think maybe, there's the regeneration stuff, but actually those sort of coastal hazards issues of the district plan, getting that sorted. Yeah, well, there's a coastal, we seem to be loggerheads over the estuaries in South Brighton and in South Shore, and we've got this building issue. South Brighton and South Shore probably have the most issues at the moment. Yeah. So, I shouldn't really call I'm not really referring to the whole east, I'm referring to a particular area that has issues.
But there is a process that's going on there. So we've got the... But a methodology has been devised by the community, for the community and with the community around how we engage on these really tough issues, because they're not easy, and I don't think that there's a magic solution that is going to solve for now and for the future. And the whole approach around adaptive management means shared knowledge, shared understanding and a shared vision for the future, but also a really powerful capacity within a community to adapt and change direction, because we don't actually know what the future holds, and it's a vulnerable environment on both sides of the estuary, although I'd rather be on your side than on the other side.
Oh, I agree with you there. But look, I agree with you there, but the majority, the residents themselves, most of them live day to day, and this is what's affecting them day to day. And I know we're talking about the future, and I totally understand that, and I know that's what we're working towards. But I'm talking at ground level. I'm talking with the residents all the time, and this is what I'm hearing.
No, and I talk to them a lot too.
Yeah, and you know, it's not.
Some of them are
they
still
just don't feel like they're moving forward. I mean, let aside what you said before about the good things that are happening, but for the people that it affects, it's really. Honestly, we're all concerned about their health.
But do we, as a council, really want to leave it to the insurance industry to decide the future of coastal environments in Christchurch?
No, we don't. I mean, we have to get it sorted out, but it's just...
But do we have to work with the insurance industry? Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Because they are going to be doing their own assessments. They are going to be determining what is vulnerable. They are going to be determining what they're going to charge by way of excesses and what they're going to charge for premiums. And they are going to decide not to cover some things. So we need to be quite collaborative in this space. The reinsurers have been looking at this for a very, very long time. To be honest, they probably had never heard of Christchurch before September 2010, but they do now, and they're very aware of multiple hazards. So it's not just one hazard, it's multiple hazards. And having conversations with communities that are already still stressed because of the effects of the earthquakes, which are still not resolved, is a very, very tricky thing to do, which is why we've gone for a co-designed collaboration, really, around engaging the public in what is going to be, I hope, a template for the rest of New Zealand for dealing with coastal environments. But, you know, we're on a journey, and we're a wee way down the track, but not very far down the track. So I'm extremely hopeful that the model that we've developed will actually really help develop understanding about those environments. But how you build communities that are capable of acceptance of the need to change when that change occurs. And that may be many, many, many years in the future in another generation. But we have to set it up now for those decision-making environments to exist.
You're right, but I mean, one of the obviously the issues with insurance is we've got a temporary bund protecting people in South Shore. Well, insurance companies don't recognise temporary as a real fix, so that's one of the issues we've got as well.
Yep, and these are the issues which will be able to be resolved over time as we look at the different components. I mean, you know as well as I do that the entire estuary environment is not the same. There are different components of it. There are, and certainly the spit is different on the beach side with an accreting beach. So there are multiple issues that need to be resolved down there, and it's not just a one-size-fits-all solution.
I think, you know, because the people down there have been living with it for so long, it's just a sheer frustration of it's been getting harder and harder, and nothing seems to be getting done. And that's why I'm quite disappointed that there should be more people going to this Regenerate Hub. They are going, but because they think nothing's going to happen, that's a terrible attitude to have. And that's what, unfortunately, some people have. Yeah,
no, but Sarah's point was right, is that it's communication. And I do understand that there is some communication really to be lifted in the next week or so. So to really drive things, help people understand the environment that they're living in and the challenges of resolving some of those issues for the future. It is a hard area, but I'm not going to pretend that it's not, but we're absolutely with them, and we don't want to have the insurance industry make decisions for the future. We want to work with the insurance industry, but primarily we want to work with communities so that they understand they have to be adaptive living in that environment.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I think that could happen. Look, and I want to make it quite clear, you know, what was said before. There are some great things happening in our side of town, fantastic things. So don't get me wrong, but you know, with good things, we've also got some bad things. So I'm trying to keep it in balance here, but you cannot forget that there's, with the good things, there's also some very big difficulties for people.
Yep.
So it's not. I'm not doing a moan. I'm just saying there are issues out there, and there's some great things happening.
And I'm also trying to say that we do hear those. We're very aware of them, and we really do want to enable communities to take control of what are major decisions that are going to affect the future living environments in those coastal areas. And it's not just in your area, but on the other side of the estuary as well, and then all around the Banks Peninsula. So, and actually, New Zealand. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I've kind of overdone it. But
just wonder that it's because the wheels turn so slowly, but there's so much investigative work that needs to be done.
I know.
And study, so it takes a long, long time. And staff have been working on this area for years. So it's about conveying that to the people, that work is being done, but you can't see it yet.
Yeah.
So whether we get some form of a forum or work with Regen to... And
no, but there is work, and we've all been briefed on work that's been done, and that is going to be going out into the community for them to be looking at in the next couple of weeks. So,
and there's also confusion in the community regarding the role of council and Regenerate Christchurch. So, and that's often confusion everywhere. So we need to address that as well and try and let people know that we are working together on this.
Yeah.
There's no, as Carly
the
said,
advantage of the regeneration strategy, and Regenerate Christchurch is leading the work. The advantage of a regeneration strategy is that we have the ability to change aspects of our district plan through a regeneration plan. So it is a better approach. It is a way more engaged approach, and it doesn't involve multiple appeals to the Environment Court. So it's a much better planning environment for actually dealing with challenging issues where we're looking to the future and not just looking at the present day environment.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Sorry, Leanne, I just wanted to make one quick comment on that report. Yep.
Hello.
Is that okay?
Yep. Oh,
right. I just wanted to.
I mean, sorry, I forgot that you were there, and it's
Well, several other people have, so it's very quick. I just wanted to just to praise. I think the idea of setting up local spaces where people can go and get information is a really positive thing. So setting up local shops or pop-up spaces in communities where people can go is actually really good, and I think we should be considering doing more of it.
But that's why they've got that.
I just want to acknowledge. I think that's
why they've got that.
Yeah. I just wanted to acknowledge that. I thought that was a really good idea.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Regenerate Christchurch has done that. Right. Sprague and Cashmere Community Board.
We move that.
Oh, sorry. Glenn would like to move. Okay.
Look, just a few things in there. In that report, you'll notice over the region. Well, it's flashing on and off.
They did it automatically.
You'll notice in the report that we need to the need to get the agencies together over those working around the red zone with the community. A few events and activities taking them by surprise. The Gayhurst Road bridge, we've just got a bit of a discrepancy between the residents' experience and the engineers' report on that, so we have to, that's why we're having the on-site meeting. And with the Avonside girls and Shirley boys zoning, while the ministry's come out with the interim zone, the preference is still for certainty. So it's a little bit like what we've been talking about over the South Shore and South View Brighton. Residents want certainty and permanence in a difficult situation. So you could say really that lack of certainty isn't confined to one place. People want to know post-quake where they stand, and that's basically, I think, the issue for many over there.
So moved by Glenn, seconded by Aaron. I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried.